Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. The pregame show for another season. Touchdown Alabama Magazine. You've made it through a long summer. We got Bama football to open up 2022. Your Crimson Tide taking on Utah State. Bryant Denny in Tuscaloosa, 6:30 p.m. Central Time kickoff. I'm yours truly, Stephen M. Smith.
And I'm Patrick Dowd. Stephen, it's great to be talking Alabama football with you once again.
It's fantastic, Pat. We got the matchup, Alabama, Utah State. Coach Saban already in midseason form on Hey Coach, trying to get the media and fans to understand. Look, people, I know it's Utah State, but show some respect here. But we all know the media, the fans, we want to see more games that get our attention. But Utah State, 11-3 this past season. They bring back some talent, especially offensively. So should be an intriguing one to watch under the LED lighting feature.
I mean, I thought this was the Aggies matchup that Alabama fans were all looking forward to this season. But yeah, you're right. They do return some good experience on the offensive side of the ball, namely quarterback Logan Bonner, who threw for over 30 touchdowns last year as he led them to an 11-win season.
Before we get into that, looking at Utah State, Pat, first off with Alabama, the depth chart, we saw it come out on Monday. A lot of things happened. Some stuff we knew. Other things kind of made us go, that is very interesting. And one of the big things, 3 freshmen are getting a chance to show Coach Saban, the coaching staff, their teammates, and the fans what they can do. And those 3 young men, you've got Jaheim Otis on the defensive line. You've got Colby Prentiss playing slot receiver. And you got Terrion Arnold, redshirt freshman at cornerback. This is going to be really fun to watch these 3 as the bullets start flying through the air, or the pigskin flies through the air for Alabama. Starting this thing off with Otis, I mean, what are you looking forward to seeing from him? How quickly can we see this young man get out there and create, some fun moments in his first shot here at that nose tackle spot?
Well, I mean, simply put, on the defensive line, I mean, as a freshman, Nick Saban noticed immediately, and he mentioned this in one of his press conferences, that Otis got on the field because he is hard to block. And he's dropped a ton of weight since he joined the program, but he's still a big guy there in the middle and pushing DJ Dale for that starting spot in the middle. So, I mean, I think he's going to be a really effective force up there if he can kind of, even though he's lost some weight, he's kind of continue to get into better game shape and stay on the field. But he could be a real key for Alabama, opening up those lanes for the linebackers to attack the football.
The one thing, Pat, I want to see from Jaheim is the gap control assignment, because Utah State, as Saban mentioned, they're going to want to spread you out. They're going to want to get the passing game going early with Logan Bonner to set up that run with Calvin Tyler Jr. But with Otis there, big man at 342 pounds, can he stay disciplined? Can he handle his assignment? And then once he gets in one-on-one situations, Pete Golding talked about it, he's got more wiggle than what people give him credit for. When he gets in those one-on-ones, how quickly can he explode and work toward attacking the quarterback? When you talk about having a nasty force up front, Alabama's have it to run Paynes, the Quinnen Williams, the Christian Barmores, the Marcel Dariuses, a lot of these names. Jaheim Otis is getting fans very excited to see, could he be the next one in one of those names? And I'm high praise there, but could he be the next one? We'll start to see a little bit of what he can do this weekend against Utah State.
Yeah, and one of the most important players on Alabama's defense last season was Federia Mathis in the middle. I think he had close to 10 sacks last season.
He did.
Coming from the interior. And when you have guys like Dallas Turner and Will Anderson on the edge, if you can create that interior pass rush, that's just going to be that much more nasty for Alabama's defense.
Flipping Pat from a freshman defensively to a freshman offensively, Colby Prentiss came in the summer from Calera High School in Alabama. Here's a young man that just completely blew people away in fall camp. He didn't get the conversation that maybe an Aaron Anderson, a Kendrick Law, a Shaz Preston, an Isaiah Bond got, but here's a young brother right here through 2 scrimmages in fall camp, 8 catches, including 1 for a touchdown. Coach Saban's been high on him. Teammates around him have been high on him. We've seen freshmen come through this program as wide receivers and be special. Colby Prentiss trying to be another one of those guys. What do you look forward to seeing from him as he's wearing number 80? We usually receivers wear those sexier numbers. He's got that 80 going right there. What do you want to see from Colby Prentiss?
Well, I mean, I want to see what kind of wheels he's got, because I keep hearing about his speed. And Alabama lost JoJo Earl to a foot injury. He's going to miss a few games here to start the season. And Tyler Harrell came into fall camp a little bit banged up. Those were probably the 2 options that we're going to try to fill in for the Jamison Williams role, who left for the NFL last year. And, Prentiss, not to say that he's going to be Alabama's next star receiver, but when you see these freshmen show that kind of consistency, it's special.
It very much so is. We're looking forward to see what Prentiss does. Route runner, hands, speed, just when the ball's flying for the air, what does he do? And that connection that he will have, they'll try to work in there with Bryce Young. So now, Pat, we get back to defense. This time the defensive secondary. There's a four-man battle going on at cornerback between Kool-Aid McKinstry, Kyrie Jackson, Eli Ricks, and Terrion Arnold for the two starting spots. But Coach Saban has thought a lot of McKinstry and Terrion Arnold for those two that have the first look here against Utah State. And Arnold's the surprise because a lot of people thought Eli Ricks would have that spot. Transfer coming over from LSU, saw what he did in the time with the Tigers. Or Kyrie Jackson at 6'3", his second year, former JUCO transfer. But no, Terrion Arnold, really good spring, tremendous fall camp. Travaris Robinson, cornerbacks coach, has worked a lot with him. When you look at Terrion, could he become even more than just a serviceable guy? Could he be a star in this defensive backfield? Could he be that corner that Alabama needs to limit these big receivers in college football?
Yeah, I mean, our scout and recruiting analyst, Justin Smith, was high on this guy coming in, and look, he's just another talented option for Alabama. He's already spent a year in the program, so he has a little bit of a leg up on someone like Eli Ricks, who came in and got banged up midway through. And look, to his credit, he's not giving up his playing time. He's earned his role, and cornerback's to be an important position for Alabama to really establish some depth, because if we learned anything from last season, Alabama's two starting corners went down ahead of the college football playoff. It's going to be really important for guys like Arnold to, even if they don't start, to stay ready and be able to get on the field.
Get those reps, play that winning football, as Coach Saban likes to put out there. But, Pat, now we look at kind of the big tail of the coin here, because you got so many fans asking this question, and starting with Utah State. Do you open with the ground and pound? You got Eric Wolford in here, coming over from Kentucky. He's got this tough, rugged mentality. The offensive linemen have bought into it. Do you go ground and pound and allow the offensive line to show you we're much more improved than what we were a season ago, giving up 39 sacks to Bryce Young? Or do you look at Young and go, hey, here is your opportunity, build this connection with this young group of receivers? They're talented, but kind of unproven. Like you mentioned, John Mechie off to the NFL, Jamison Williams, NFL, Slade Bolden, NFL. So do you go Bryce Young, let him loose, let him build that connection with these young guys, or do you put this on your offensive line and go, hey guys, here is your chance off the rip, show us how much better you've gotten?
I mean, you know me, Steven. I want to see this offensive line flex their muscles early. And,
absolutely.
What we've been hearing about is a lot of encouraging things from Nick Saban, talking about how this unit has adopted the mentality of Eric Wolford coming over from Kentucky, who's been tasked to kind of fix things from last season when it was really tumultuous and inconsistent. So I really want to see them play some smash mouth football up front, and I want to see how they create lanes for Jahmyr Gibbs, who's got some burns himself.
And Jahmyr does not need a big lane. Give him a small crease. We thought on A-Day. 75 yards, gone. You got Jace McClellan back. You got Roydell Williams, Trey Sanders, a lot of guys in that backfield. And Pat, I agree with you. As much as it would be fun to see just the whole opening of Bryce Young on the attack, throwing the football, I do want to see this offensive line get back to, we're going to line up and run it down your throat whenever we feel like it. Saban wants to have that balance. He wants to have that toughness. He wants to have that physicality. I want to see this line. Primarily, I want to see Tyler Steen and J.C. Latham, both at offensive tackle. Tyler Steen comes in here as a transfer from Vanderbilt. He takes the left tackle spot. A lot of good things about him. J.C. Latham came in 2021 as the most college-ready offensive lineman, 5-star. It's his time. Saban has been saying he's been playing with a ton of more confidence. Want to see those two guys, the whole offensive line, but definitely Steen and Latham.
Absolutely. I mean, J.C. Latham is one of the highly rated prospects Alabama's recruited in the Nick Saban era, and in terms of the offenses as a whole, there's no better way to set up Bryce Young in the passing game than with an effective run game. I think that's going to be the mentality that Bill O'Brien brings into this game.
Absolutely. So now, Pat, we get into Utah State. Like we mentioned earlier, this is a team 11-3 a season ago. Two of those wins came against Pac-12 programs in Oregon State, and also Washington State was in there as well, if I'm not mistaken. So two of those wins against Pac-12 programs. But you look at this team, Logan Bonner at quarterback, over 3,000 yards passing a season ago, 36 touchdowns. They've got talent at receiver with Justin Griff, who had 6 touchdowns a season ago. They've got talent at running back. They've got dudes on defense. They bring back several defensive linemen, including Byron Vaughns, who had 6 sacks a season ago. Hunter Reynolds is back in the secondary as the big-time safety. So they're going to throw different looks out here when you talk about testing the Crimson Tide offensively with their defense, but also testing the Crimson Tide's defense want to attack the secondary with Logan Bonner and the passing game. So for Alabama, in terms of eye discipline defensively and just getting off to a strong start on offense, what do you want to see from Bill O'Brien and from Pete Golding schematically here, making sure that they're able to not only keep Utah State off balance, but actually impose their will in this game?
Well, in terms of Bill O'Brien and the offense, I think it's going to be key, like we mentioned, to run the football. I mean, once we saw in their Week 0 game against UConn, the Huskies rushed for 245 yards.
And you are a proud person
UConn
of Connecticut.
Fan. I'm a proud person of Connecticut, and I can tell you that UConn doing that to them ain't good. So I think Bill O'Brien's going to come out and, like we said, flex their muscles on the offensive line, get not just Gibbs, their entire running back room involved, and really set up the pass there. And in terms of defense, I think they're going to try to get after Bonner, because when he has time, he's an effective quarterback. Even though, like we said, he'd be able to beat some Pac-12 teams last season with his passing ability, I think it's going to be really key to put some pressure on the quarterback from the defensive side of the football.
Before we get into prediction time, Pat, another thought that there's on a lot of minds of the Alabama fan base when you look at Jalen Milroe, backup quarterback for Alabama, sophomore from Texas. How much do we see him in this upcoming season, but starting off Saturday against Utah State? In the offseason, we've heard there were packages for Milroe, whether they are running packages or packages where he can use his arm, he can stretch the ball downfield. We saw some improvement from him in the passing game in the spring. We saw him take even more strides through fall camp. But realistically, how much or how often could we see Jalen Milroe in this game, getting him that confidence moving forward as the primary backup?
Well, Nick Saban likely wouldn't like to admit it, but I think we're going to see Jalen Milroe a little bit earlier than usual in this matchup. And look, I think fans and us are just looking to see that what kind of steps the next kind of steps that he takes as a passer, because we saw in Alabama's A-Day game, he's able to make some big plays with his arm. He
can throw now. He's got
a huge arm, and he's a great athlete, but just still looking to see how he looks and evaluates the defense, just taking what the defense gives him and just continue to improve on those intermediate passes.
And I think the main thing would be here, controlled accuracy. There are times where Milroe could put a little bit too much on that, be able to control the speeds, the pace of speeds he's throwing the ball with, as well as being accurate there in that decision making. But Pat, I think the line on this game is 41, if I'm not mistaken. You're more of a Vegas man than I am. I make predictions and hope for the best, but I'm not playing with house money. So when you look at this, 41 point spread, how do you see this one shaking out? Does Bama cover this?
Look, 41 points, that's a ton of points.
That's a lot of bacon.
That's a lot of points. Alabama's going to cover. I think Alabama's going to cover. They're playing inside Bryant-Denny Stadium. It's going to be kicking in there. They got the beer flowing in the stadium now. I mean, I think Alabama's going to come out ready and prepared with the experience that they have on this defensive side of the ball and the new guys they have on offense with the fixed offensive line. I think they make a statement in week 1.
I think Alabama covers as well. I got the score at this point 48-3. I can see Utah State in the second half, maybe in the fourth quarter, getting that field goal. But I think Alabama comes out, like you mentioned. They make a statement defensively. They make a statement offensively, running the football. There'll be some mix and match. And then once the league gets big enough, of course, Coach Saban not going to completely embarrass Utah State out there. And then the LED Lighting Show at 6:30 p.m. Central Time kickoff. Going to be fun to watch, but I got 48-3 here. But people, your Crimson Tide taking on Utah State, the other Aggies, Utah State on Saturday, 6:30 p.m. Central Time kickoff, Bryant-Denny Stadium from Tuscaloosa. SEC Network will have the call for all of us here at Touchdown Alabama Magazine. I'm yours truly, Stephen M. Smith.
And I'm Patrick Dowd.
And people will catch you next week.